Whether you're conquering professional exams or personal milestones, we welcome you to Beyond Clean's Confidence Certification, the 52-week test prep podcast series. With expert insights, actionable tips, and engaging discussions, we'll break down the toughest concepts in sterile processing and build your confidence every step of the way. Join host Sarah B. Cruz as she embarks on a mission to help you not just prep for tests, but craft your success story. And now your host, Sarah B. Cruz.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to Confidence Certification, a 52-week test prep podcast series to equip you to take your sterile processing career to the next level. I'm your host, Sarah B. Cruz, and on this episode, we are going to be talking about personal testing limitations. Hello and welcome. My name is Sarah B. Cruz, and I am a terrible test taker. Hand to heart, swear to the above, I am just not good at taking tests, which is kind of funny as we work together to prepare to take our tests more confidently, right? But you know, they always say you're doomed to teach the lessons that you yourself always repeat. And if you listen to the first episode, you'll know that I repeated my inability to take a test multiple times with failure. Yeah, so if you didn't get a chance, go ahead and listen to the first episode. It'll be great. No, but seriously, I suffer from test anxiety and attention issues. These coupled with ego, being unprepared, and not understanding what I needed to be successful are part of the reason why I didn't pass my certification test so many times. These, amongst other things, are what I refer to as personal testing limitations. Now, listen, everybody, I am not a doctor. The intention of this episode is not for a diagnosis. I am just a person sharing my experience and trying to shed some light on how to confidently pass your test here, okay? So if I'm saying anything and it's resonating with you, don't rest here. Do whatever you need to do to investigate further because, again, I'm not your doctor. Yeah. So now, generally speaking, test limitations are constraints that affect the outcome of the exam. Typically, we think of things like time limits, the location of the test, and whether or not we have all the information we need. Have you ever studied only to find out you studied the wrong thing? Welcome to my life. No, but seriously, I always feel like I'm over-prepared for the wrong thing. Anyways, when we speak to personal testing limitations, we are examining the reasons why a particular person or group may not experience the test or be able to complete the test in the same way as everybody else or many others. More specifically, to the personal reasons like life events, anxieties, mental inhibitors, environmental influences. I mean, shoot, even the weather can mess it up, okay? Like, could you imagine having to drive and take your certification test and it just blizzard the day before and you have to drive slow and you didn't take that time consideration in? So even the weather can totally mess up your focus and create day of personal limitations. I speak specifically to the afflictions or issues that may influence mindset or the ability of the mind to actually perform the test successfully. So now that we have a good baseline understanding of what personal test limitations is, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about how to work around that and how to give them more time and focus. It's time for our mid-episode confidence boost, where we focus on a key sterile processing test concept. Now, there's no guarantee these concepts will be on the test that you take, but they are key concepts to the workplace and are discussed in the literature. Today, we'll cover halogens. Halogens are environmental disinfectants that include chlorine and iodine-based compounds, the most common being bleach. Considered to be a low to medium level disinfectant, concentrations of 1 to 10 or 1 to 100 is typically recommended by OSHA for the treatment of blood spills. Other applications include the treatment of water and sewage. Halogens are corrosive to metal, rubber, and some plastics. Never use this on surgical instruments. Generally non-staining, but will remove the color from some items. Halogens' effectiveness deteriorate with age, so you want to make sure you watch that shelf life and that use life, okay? They can be toxic in high concentrations, and exposure to it can be fatal. Don't mix it with ammonia. That's going to wrap this week's mid-session confidence boost. Good luck. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we are talking about personal test limitations. Things like anxiety, attention issues. Even the weather could be a personal test limitation, because personal test limitations speak to a particular reason why a person or group may not experience the test or be able to complete the test in the same way as their peers or many others. So now I'm going to spend a little bit of time discussing how to tell if you have certain conditions, but just remember, I'm not your doctor, and I'm not going to speak specifically to any type of issue, but more or less some indications that you may be struggling and it's not all your fault, okay? So what I am going to suggest is that you become aware of the information your mind and body may be trying to tell you. Are you breaking out in sweats? Does your heart race? Can you sit still? Does deep breathing help? Can you find moments of relief, or are you constantly on edge? A Harvard EDU article speaks to the 4 ways that one could cope or identify test-taking anxieties that I really liked, because they leave room for self-discovery and interpretation. So one way you could is take meditation, a breath, or a good stretch. I know I don't like to get all hippy-dippy yoga-y, but sometimes the power of a big, deep breath that you feel in your chest, just, right? Feeling your chest expand, or sometimes a really big stretch is a great way to get into motion, and that helps anxieties get out. Did any of those help you? Can you replace negative thoughts with positive ones or more realistic ones? This is a really great tool. If you have the ability to, first of all, own all the negative thoughts that you're having, because let's be honest, we all have them. What power do you have to change that mindset and turn them into positives, right? So a lot of the times we like to say things like opportunities for success rather than, hey, you really stink at this. So, or opportunities for improvement, right? So that's saying a similar meaning, but with a positive spin on it, because it gives you this ability to demonstrate that you have the power and control to change that outcome. Yeah. And a lot of the times, even just putting more realistic ideas in your head help to negate negative thoughts, right? So if you're having a negative thought that I don't know anything and I'm going to fail this test, a more realistic one may be, I know enough about this test, or I know a little bit about this test. I've read the book. There's no possible way I know nothing. So even though you can't get yourself to that point where it's like, I am the smartest person in the world, you can still use positive or realistic thoughts to right size yourself. And that may help you mentally cope with some of the personal testing limitations you may be afflicted with. Yeah. Now, don't forget that mistakes are learning opportunities. I don't like to say that we learn from failure. That's a very frustrating phrase for me. But when you fail your test as many times as I did, you got to find something to tell yourself, because you don't know how you're going to make it through, right? So every mistake that we have is an opportunity for improvement. See what I did there? There's that old realistic positive spin on that. So every time I failed my test or didn't do something that worked for me, there was an opportunity to right that. And that really helped me with my own anxieties that I was experiencing before and during the test. And then lastly, seek professional help if you think you need it. Okay. There's no shame in that game. There's so many people out there that have their own concerns, their own issues. And honestly, you don't even have to tell anybody about it if you don't want to. I try to be transparent with my own issues because I think it makes the conditions more of a reality. All right. You're not alone. You can come hang out with me and my goldfish brain. It's going to be great. Okay. So as we move into the end of the episode, I want to give you all some homework. Oh, you're like, Sarah, we are doing such deep work. Can I just get a break? No. Okay. for your homework, I just want you to figure out if you're experiencing any of the limitations. When I was talking today, did any of the things I was saying make you go, huh? Or, oh, that's me. Or, I don't really have that issue. If you did respond to any of them, write them down so you can investigate them. Bring out good old Google. But, be careful what you Google out there. I can't help but feel like I put some symptoms in and Google just wants to tell me that I'm going to die in like 2 days. Okay. So don't become an internet warrior, trying to figure everything else out on your own, but start investigating your own anxieties or your own personal testing limitations that you may be experiencing, because it can be a breakthrough in how you prepare for the test and really helps your studies pay off, okay? Because these limitations, they can happen due to medical issues, but they can also be the byproducts of fear of failure, previous poor experiences, or genuine anxieties, or even attention issues, okay? So the first step when we experience these is to understand them and then begin to build success stories that include them. Don't try to work around them. Embrace them through your own self-understanding and make them a part of the reason you thrive today. Now, next week, we'll be speaking specifically to language barriers, which can also be the reason why some experience these personal testing limitations and anxieties. So if English is your second language, or you're an English language learner, or you have these colleagues in the workplace, please come back and hang out with us and leave with some actionable tips that you can use to help prepare for the test. All right, everybody, see you next week. Bye. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. For more sterile processing education and resources, make sure to visit beyondclean.net or follow Beyond Clean on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to check out over 1,000 SPD-related videos at youtube.com/beyondclean. If you have any questions or comments for the show, you can reach out to info@beyondclean.net. Finally, make sure to download the Beyond Clean mobile app on the Apple and Android app stores so that you don't miss a future episode of any of the other awesome Beyond Clean podcasts. My name's Sarah B. Cruz, and you've been listening to Confidence Certification. Until next time, keep fighting dirty and pass that test with confidence.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast series are of Sarah B. Cruz only and do not represent the companies she works for or collaborates with.